Awesome. Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this session today. So, yes, we're going to be discussing opportunities for women to start a skilled trade business in a male dominated field, such as construction. And with me here today is an expert with whom I'm going to discuss this topic. So, Gio, over to you. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Josephine. I am based out of Burlington, Ontario, in Canada. I've been in the trades and in the industry for over 10 years now. It's going to be 11 in literally a couple of weeks. So it's been a long time since I've been here. I've started at the very bottom as a laborer, and now I own my own construction company that came with a lot of stress, a lot of passion, and a lot of love for the industry in general. So yes, my name is Josephine, like I said. Most people do call me Joe. So yeah,
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much. And I,
thank you for having me.
yeah, okay. So let me just say for people that are watching us right now, what we are going to do is we're going to understand what she does, and then we're going to have conversations around the opportunities for women in skilled trade business and the role of apprenticeship and training and where one can go, groups to join, and then we're going to talk about breaking barriers for women who are looking to start this kind of business. Then we're the interesting parts. We're going to have question and answer. So if you have question and you're watching us, feel free to ask the question in the comment box. If I see such a question towards the end, I'm going to answer that question. And yeah, so let's get into it. All right. So you are the founder of JS Group.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, could you tell us more about, the kind of services that you provide?
So I started off working for a different company, my partner's company, back in the day. I went to school for fitness and health, so completely different industry. And when I moved to Toronto, my main focus was fitness, fitness, fitness. I never thought in a million years I would ever even touch a hammer or construction. I've always been really good with my hands. I always loved building and creating. So that aspect of it I could see, but construction was not an industry for, especially as an African, to take on as an actual career choice. So growing up, I was told to be either a doctor or a teacher or an amazing athlete, which I was, but it didn't end up that way for me. I ended up going into construction. So fitness and health was the basis of everything I loved. And then I transferred all those skills that I learned in fitness and health to construction. So still being creative, I was creative building design plans for athletes, but now I'm building amazing floor plans and offices for clients. So I was able to translate those skills, but my hands-on skills really came into play when I went on site, when I was bringing up drywall or hammering nails and just learning from what they would call now is the old school construction workers. So dedication, time, being on time, doing things correctly, just being proud of how you're doing it, and the end product of everything that you touch is so amazing. So JS Group is founded on the belief that money will always come, but the creativity and being able to create something tangible and long lasting is so beautiful. I love going by and seeing projects that I did 3, 4, 5 years ago and saying, oh my goodness, it's still here. It's
Mm.
still in good condition. The people and the clients that have and are utilizing the property are so happy. So that makes me very, very proud to own a company like that. And I also do property management. So I manage properties in Ontario. I manage properties outside of Canada. Just because I love to travel. It's always been something that I enjoy doing. So I wanted to be able to manage properties in the Caribbean and also enjoy the Caribbean. And I want to be able to manage property in Europe. So everything kind of fell into place. And whether it's property management, whether it's construction, whether it's soon to be development, we are full service in terms of construction. So yeah.
Well, yeah. So you do both construction and then property management.
That's correct. Yes. So we maintain over 160 properties all over Ontario, and everywhere from just changing a toilet to helping a client get an amazing tenant in the unit. We facilitate the from the beginning to end. We they essentially it's turnkey situation. They don't have to worry about anything. The tenants message me or message our office saying, "Hey, this is going on. Can you please help us?" And we jump right into it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, yeah,
Wow. That-
I
well,
tend not to sleep.
yeah, yeah, but like that's amazing for anybody who has a property to be managed. That's amazing for the person to hear, right? Because if you have a property and you have tenants, some of the scary moments is those calls, like
It gets
the
scary.
the
Yeah.
toilet isn't work isn't flushing.
Imagine if you lived in Toronto and you have a property in Windsor, that the drive for some of the clients is just like unfathomable. So we're able to give them that rest and peace of mind to be like, okay, you can stay in Toronto, we'll manage it. You're good to go. And some people can't afford anything in Toronto right now, so they're looking at outside markets in terms of investing. And that's where we come into play and be like, okay, well, how can we facilitate you to get into the housing market in a way that you're not going to be house poor? So it's conversations I have with past tenants, future tenants, or current tenants. How do we diversify their portfolio? How do we make that money go as far as we can, even if they cannot invest in Toronto? There's so many other markets in Ontario that they can. So yeah, yeah.
I see. I'm curious. So, do you what locations do you cover? Is it Canada wide, or are there places you focus on?
So we cover all of Ontario. So
All of
all the way
Ontario.
up to Sudbury, all the way up to Ottawa, all the way up to Windsor, and the Caribbeans and Europe. So we have clients that are in Europe, that or clients that live in Canada that have properties in Europe. I would go whether it's managing them for Airbnb or making sure we have trades available on site in that country. That's how we help them facilitate that, especially if they're running their own company here. So it gives them the opportunity to do that and not think about it. I just let them know, hey, this is how much it's going to cost to fix this, this, and this, or hey, we got a new tenant in, here's the information. And they're like, okay, thank you very much.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So, in terms of construction now, what
Mhm.
is your most memorable project so far?
Oh, I've had a couple. I think some of my favorite ones are properties that are decrepit. So they're just so you there's no vision in them. They're just so badly untaken care of, and previous tenants just completely um just made the property awful essentially. And these clients, or this the one I'm thinking of specifically, this specific client was just exhausted, didn't know what to do. And I'm like, okay, let's start off with just removing everything. Let's take all the garbage out. 2 weeks later, all the garbage, okay, we see something. All right, what are we going to do next? Let's start off with, let's get the kitchen out of here. Let's start with the bathroom. And after the 2 months of seeing the transition, you can see her face light up and you can see her face be so at ease because it was such a daunting experience for her. She had a bad tenant, and I know I hear so many stories of that right now currently, but this happened 3 years ago, um, and she just didn't know what to do. So it was by luck on Facebook Messenger or Facebook, one of the groups, the mom groups. She messaged me saying, "Hey, I heard that you're able to do gut cleans and you do renovations. Can you come see my property and let me know if there's anything that you could do? Can you save this home?" And 3 months later, we have the home listed, tenanted, and I can't even explain how happy she was. It's something that I get extreme joy from.
Mm.
especially if I'm going to be on my boots with my hard hat and wearing my mask, all that stuff. If I'm on the project doing what I need to do to make sure my clients are happy, that is the most amazing thing in the world to me. And as much as I love being in the office and doing drafting and drawing, I love being just on the tools also, and being there on site, being active in the roles that I want to be and playing in my company. So I just don't tell all the guys what to do or girls what to do. I'm a part of that whole process also. So yeah.
I see. Okay, so as you're talking, right, something that came to my mind is for a woman who is looking to start a skill trade business, say a construction business or property management business. Maybe the question she will have in her mind is she the person to actually do, the work, or is it possible to, you know, create that business, work with other people, or let's say guys or men who do this, and you don't have to be the one carrying the hammer. I know you love to get your hands active, right?
Dirty.
But is it possible to do this kind of business without being in the field yourself?
100%. It's just how you want to structure your business. Your business. The thing is that if you're not able to be aware of what's going on, so say you have to fix a toilet and you don't know what needs to be fixing or fixed on that toilet, a lot of the times you can be taken advantage of. And the
Mm,
issue for me is that if you're in an industry that you don't know your stuff, then you're always going to get the butt end of the stick and you're never going to progress, or maybe you're going to be just stagnant. There's no growth for you because you don't want to learn the aspects of being on the tools. It's so important because we have this conversation with a bunch of the trades. Whether you're an engineer, you get drawings. I'm like, okay, these drawings are here. This person that's been sitting on a computer did all this drafting, but have they even been on site? Have they seen the location that they're doing drawings for? Because there's so many aspects of that renovation or the construction that may require being on site and visually seeing, okay, you know what? This is not possible. How do we adjust and facilitate a way to make it happen? So as much as I can say, yes, you can be a property manager without any experience in the trades, but you're not going to do well in this industry if you don't know at least the basics of what is required to be a property manager, to manage or fix or change a door handle, change a toilet. That stuff is so important because they go hand in hand. They
mm,
really, really do. You, like I said, you don't want to be left in the dust where you're overcharged too much. And then now your clients is like, why am I getting charged this much for something that shouldn't be that expensive? So, especially in this industry, you don't want to be taken advantage of, because that's what I felt, or not I felt, that's how it was for me when I first started by myself. I got taken advantage of a lot because I did not know as much as I do now. And that's something I don't want anyone to go through because it's so stressful.
yeah, thank you very much for your insights in that, because that question can be on somebody's mind. So hearing from you is going to also encourage uh, the person to, seek hands-on experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask for help. Ask for help. If you can find someone that's willing to work with you and teach you the ropes, oh my goodness, do it. Because, like I said, I didn't ask for help. I thought doing it all by myself was the best way to do it because I felt like a lone soldier, especially as a Black woman in the trades. I'm like, okay, well, is there anyone that looks like me out there that can help me? Is there anyone that's able to understand what I'm going through? So just do the research. There's more of us out there. There's more people wanting to help you than wanting you to fail. So the best thing to do is just ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So for for you, when you are not in the office, let's say you are in the field, what does a day like that looks like for you?
Oh, it can. I drive so much. This is one thing that everyone I work with says. I'm like, they're like, how do you do it? I could leave my house at 3 o'clock in the morning, get to Kingston, Ontario. From Kingston, Ontario, make my way to Brampton, from Brampton to Etobicoke, and then to Hamilton, and then to Cambridge. So my day there's no clear direction. I have okay, this is what I want to do today. And a bad thing that I do is overwhelm myself. So I put too much on my plate, and I've been learning very hard to take things off. There's not enough hours in a day to do everything. And prioritizing and delegation is key to success in this industry. So, especially with the weather, we live in Canada. You know, I could be driving from, let's say, Hamilton to Toronto, but as soon as the weather comes into play, it's instead of a 45-minute drive, it's an hour and 45-minute drive. So all that time is gone. And especially if I'm driving, I can't be on the phone sending emails and stuff. It's just dead time, essentially. So not essentially, it is dead time. I can take some calls, but again, I'm not paying attention. I have to pay attention to the road. So like, you have to understand that in a day, I can literally drive maybe 400 kilometers sometimes, or I have to go to Windsor. I'll drive over to Windsor, make sure everything's okay. I might not have to drive there for another, I don't know, 2 weeks, but some days my days are so long, I would have 16, 17-hour days.
Okay, yeah. I have a picture of you here. I'll show it to the people that are watching. Yeah, this is how tell us more about this outfit.
Yeah, so high res, obviously, in the winter weathers, you know to make sure that people can see you, especially if we're doing outside work. It's a necessity plus warmth. I cannot deal with the cold. I love having warmth on me, so duck boots are a must. They're waterproof. I can layer up my socks. Wearing my jacket, I'll have maybe one or two sweaters underneath. Hard hat, obviously, safety. And I usually have my gloves in my pocket and whatever else I might need. And sometimes I'll have my work belt on me, depending on what I'm doing. But especially in Canada, it's all about warmth. So I want to make sure I'm safe so people can see me, and I want to make sure I'm nice and warm so the cold doesn't deter me from not being out there.
Okay. When I saw that picture, I was like, yay, I have to bring this picture here. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's fun. Like construction is just so much fun for me. I have so much passion for it. There's the whole political side of it also, but the just building, the just renovating, and the just designing. That's what I fell in love with, and for me, especially because designing not only properties but houses that people can live and are they're forever homes, you know, and these are the properties that they're going to give to their children, and so on and so on. And each generation is going to want to design it and renovate it differently because things change. It's not the pink carpet anymore or the pink toilets. Now it's the modern sleek white look, or the light gray baseboards, or I mean flooring, and the nice sleek baseboard. So seeing over time, being like, okay, well, this is the property I built 15 years ago. Now look at the property. Like it's just changed. And that for me is something that I wish I could just explain to everyone to really understand the joys of it. As much as it drives me nuts, it's still my industry.
It's okay. Okay, let's transition to opportunities for women. You know, why should, in your opinion, why should a woman consider starting a skilled-based business?
I've said this before, but for me, construction saved my life in a lot of ways because I was able to make a good wage to provide for my kids. And not to say I didn't want to be a nurse, or not to say I didn't want to be a doctor or a physiologist or anything like that. Just construction provided me everything I needed to as a young mom to be able to provide not only a roof over my head, but food and clothing for my children. So construction in a lot of ways can provide you a career choice that many people wouldn't consider because the information is not out there. You know, do we make enough money? Construction? Yes, you do. You make a good living wage. When the jobs are there and the work is there, 100%. There's no comparing to any other industry. It's fantastic. And then the job security, there's always going to be houses to build. There's always going to be houses to renovate. There's always going to be offices to maintain, whether it's institutional, residential, commercial, it's always going to be there. So as a woman, it's an industry that you or we need to be more aware of, and then being able to have access to just trying the tools. And that's something I work with Skills Ontario with, and have been for the last little bit, is having these youth and female try the tools, understand the tools, because that's the scary part about it, is not knowing, hey, what is this tool for? Or what is this chop saw for? Or what's a jigsaw? These are the things that the tools that you use to build and create, those are the things that are scary as a woman. And once you know how to use it, once you get empowered to know how to use it, you can do it. You can do it. You can teach your mom how to do it. As a single Black mom, like, I'm not paying someone to patch up the walls because I can't afford it. I had to learn how to do it. So having a community where we can teach each other, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do this. This is how you use this. This is how you do it properly, is something that is so needed, and is growing. And these are why these organizations are so important. Skills Ontario, KWIC, Women on Site, because they're showing you that there's other people in the industry that are going through the same struggles that you are. And we work on it. We're like, okay, well, how do we make this better? How do we improve this aspect of this situation? How do we make childcare more accessible, so that when you do decide to be a mom, we're there to support you. You don't have to worry about spending $1 a minute because you're going to be late to pick up the kids because you're driving from Kitchener to Hamilton and things like that. So these are all things that are not only discussed in the back end, but we're making it very, very accessible, hopefully in the next 5 to 6 years, so that moms and young women that are getting into the industry and are growing in the industry and having families are supported. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we let's say, for example, a woman is considering starting a skill-based business, right? Like, what aspect will you advise that she can look into? Where are the opportunities right now?
So when you want to start a business like construction, it's the best thing to do is getting hands-on experience. So finding a company or a mentor that you can shadow. Service-based work, so property management and stuff like that, versus new build is very different. So deciding on which avenue you want to go to, whether you want to do new build, whether you want to do service work like property maintenance, just decide on that, or try both. Honestly, try both. You 6 months here, 6 months there, and just see what you like and what you gravitate towards. Because sometimes new builds aren't something I enjoy. I want to do more service work. So you don't know until you try. And when you start the business, managing your time is going to be so crucial, because it's exhausting if you don't. You're going to run yourself dry if you don't put yourself first. And because construction is very demanding. Everyone knows that. No matter what, every industry, regardless of what industry it is, there's some demanding aspect of it. Construction has its own. So making sure that you take time to recuperate and then continue on, because it can get exhausting, you can get overwhelmed, and then you're going to get discouraged. And then another thing is having a conversation with people around you, making sure you're managing your finances correctly, make sure you're, again, looking into other people that are in the industry that you can lean on and ask questions. That is how you're going to make your business successful. That's how you're going to prosper. And that's how you're going to grow to a level where you thought of. So in my head, I'm like, okay, well, I don't need to be as big as PCL or Ellis Don, but I want to have a foothold and a niche and be like, okay, I want to build properties, affordable housing. How do I become a company that is known and synonymous with affordable housing? You can't do that without asking another developer, another company that has done work in affordable housing for years and years and years. So ask the questions. Don't be scared to get those no's, because you're going to. Not everyone wants to talk to you. Not everyone has the time to talk to you. So don't give up. Don't give up at all. Because if you do, then then we've lost an opportunity to be in the field, you know? And I want everyone who has the, not necessarily the skills, but who has the excitement to get into construction to have the opportunity to be in construction without feeling like they're alone, especially as a woman. I don't want you to feel like you're alone, because that's how I felt for a lot of my time in this industry. And now I do not. So, yeah, utilize me, utilize the organization, ask me questions, let me know. I will tell you the struggle. I will make sure you do not go through the same struggles. So, yes.
That's great. What I picked from the thing you just said is that, like when you were talking about whether you want to do new builds or renovation, and you said the person should just try give some time to to the options out there, and then see the ones or the one you gravitate more towards, so that
Correct.
instead of just maybe making a choice
Yeah.
uh without trying them out.
Yes, 100%. You have to try out anything. You don't know if you like orange juice unless you try it. You know? I know it's such a simple way of explaining it, but it's honestly the same thing. It carries over to construction because this is a career choice you want to do. If you're scared of blood, are you going to be a nurse? I don't think so. So if you don't like doing new builds, or if you're not very good at thinking outside the box when it comes to service management and property management skills, then okay, that's not for you. But construction can be many aspects. It doesn't need to be on the tool. You can be in the office. You can do property management. You can delegate the work for all the guys. You can be office assistant. You can be a designer. You can be an engineer. There's so many aspects, whether it's in the office or on the field, that construction has to offer. It does not have to be a one-way thing. And you can do both, like me. I love designing, and I also love being on the tools. But yeah.
Yeah. How do you think a woman and her business can stand out in the industry?
Mm. Figure out your niche. Once you're good at this, stick to it, because people will notice, you know? And one of the things that I've learned is that, again, the money will come. Enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the process of doing it, and everything else will kind of fall into place, you know? Especially as you're growing, I find it's always been this, and I've had conversations with other people in the industry, finding the good guys for you and for your company. I know an amazing company, Stadia. They're based out of Toronto. And again, he has guys that has worked with him for 20 years. 20 years. That is crazy. It's because him as a boss takes care of his employees, and his employees take care of the company. And they value that work life environment, and he provides that for them, whether it's breakfast, whether it's what's it called, Christmas parties, or making sure the morale is good, or communicating. He's half the time he's literally doing the work. He's not in the office. He is the owner of a multi-million-dollar company, and he's still there helping the guys doing this because he wants to be part of the growth, you know? And that's how you can stand out. You find your niche, you make sure you're good at what you're doing, and then you stick to it and you kill it. And once you kill it, that money will come, and you're going to be blessed, and you're going to be able to grow this business to something that you never thought possible. And you're going to be doing it as a woman.
Awesome. So we had somebody say they are watching from Dubai, and I said, let me put that on. People are watching from different places. Okay, that's awesome. Let's look at the role of apprenticeship and training, right? What are the ways to get trained? So somebody wants to start this business, they don't have the skills right now.
Mm-hmm. So
be it formally or informally, like what are the ways to get trained?
in Canada, there's a huge push for women in construction. So even in May, Skills Ontario has an event for youth and students wanting to get into the trade, learning about the apprentices. apprenticeship programs and the different avenues of how to get funding for it, how to start it, and just all the necessary steps to do that. So the information is out there. That is I guess, the formal way where you're getting a red seal. The informal way is what I did. I went the informal way. I worked with a lot of Portuguese, Italians, like I said, the old guys that have been in the industry for years and years and years, just learning from them, being right next to them, just them teaching me things that most people, I guess, wouldn't have the opportunity to if they didn't just ask. And that's all I did is I'm like, hey, you know what? Can I be on this job site for a little bit? I remember I did for 2 days, I did concrete, what's it called? Concrete work for housing. So I did brand new builds for housing, and just that whole 2 days was the most painful and exhausting days for me, because I learned that these guys they're crazy. They're picking up 50-pound, what's it called, wood blocking, and laying them down, creating these beautiful basement apartments or basement units or basement foundation. And I'm like, I now know the process of doing that. I now know that because I was hands-on and I experienced it. And all I did was ask. I asked the owner of the company, I was like, hey, Nelson, can I get in there? I want to learn how to do this because I want to be able to understand what you guys are going through. You know, it's important for me to understand all the aspects of building a house, because if I don't, then I can't give my clients the best possible service. So you can go the informal route, or you can go the trades route, where you can decide on, you can pick on 2 red seals. You can do electrical and mechanical. You can do carpentry. You can do boilers, the boiler makers. There's so many different red seals that you can do, but there's so many different avenues in Canada for you to do that as a female, and there is such a big push for it. So just going on the government page of the Canadian government page, where it will give you a whole list of information on funding for that. On Skills Ontario's page, there's a whole list of funding and how to get into the trades. High schools like Judith Nyman and Brampton, they're literally dealing with youth, so grade 9 to 12, that are looking to get in the trade. So you can start very young. There are amazing facilities, like I said, like Judith Nyman, that provide you with hands-on experience and skills to try multiple trades. So if you're not sure what trades you want to go into, they give you an opportunity to do automotive, framing, bricklayering, what's it called, plumbing, electrical. That gives you all those hands-on experience, and be like, okay, you know what? I really like this. This is what I want to get my red seal in. And after 4 years, you have your red seal, you're working for a company. All you're doing is growing your knowledge base in the industry, and your knowledge base in that trade. And it's an absolutely fantastic way to go about it. So you can go informally or formally, it does not matter. Learning is learning. Learning is learning.
Okay. So let's look at organizations that a woman can join. I think you've mentioned some of them as we were talking, but I just wanted us to focus on it. And so for someone who is out there looking for organizations that they can join that can help them.
So the organization I work with very closely with is KWIC, and they're international. So they're not only based here, they have a branch in Ireland, they have a branch in the States, they have a branch in Australia. So KWIC is the biggest organization I know that can really be there no matter what part of the world you are, you know.
What's the spelling?
KWIC, CAWIC, KWIC.
1 moment.
Yep.
Let me see. This. I'm putting something on the screen.
Yeah.
Is it this? CAWI?
Yes, KWIC.
Okay, just for somebody who is listening who may not know the spelling.
And
awesome.
They're fantastic. They have really brought me out of my shell, and they have some amazing badass women that have been in the industry for 20, 30, 40 years. And it started off when there was only maybe a 0.2% of the industry was female. So now I think it's at I don't know, 15% or something like that in Canada specifically. But in general, they want to see you thrive. They even have bursaries there for women that are looking to get into the trade, and they have information sessions for women that want to get into the trade. They are there to facilitate you and your career in the trades, whether you're starting out, whether you're seasoned and you've been in the trades for a long time. They're a fantastic organization for anyone looking to get into the trade. And like I said, they're based everywhere in the world. So it's not just in Canada, they have branches all over.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. When you were talking earlier, I think you mentioned something about uh when we're talking about the training, right? And
Mhm.
then you mentioned something about someone getting trained, and you mentioned after like 4 years you can get your red seal. So I wanted to circle back to ask for, the exact process of getting trained to become like a recognized expert in this, say in Canada, right? So you go to which type of school?
Okay, so there's, depending on the trade that you're going to, so there's obviously in class, and there is the practical, and then there is the what's it called, the in school aspect of it. And depending on what trade it is, you can be going to, again, I'm talking in Canada specifically, you can go to like Humber, Sheridan, and decide that you want to do a 1 year, there's 1 year program for electrical, there's 2 year programs for electrical. And the reason they do it that way is that after the first year, if you are not feeling electrical, you can use those skills and those classes and transfer it to another trade. Okay. And then you can use that to get your apprenticeship. So you need to do your hours to be a red seal. Depending again what trade you're in, it can be maybe 1 year or 2 years or even 3 years to get that. Once you have all your practical and your time, you will be able to write your test, and you would be Red Seal Trade certified, whether it's a carpenter, whether it's an electrician, an HVAC tech. Like I said, there's an endless abundance of different trades that you can go into. All of them have a specific way of doing it. But right now, I know Skills Ontario is going to be the main hub for all the trades, because before it was just all over the place and there was no real structure towards how the trades and the trade process of getting certified was. So this allows students now to be like, okay, here's the hub. This is where I need to go to. Skills Ontario. This is the information I need to go to get for an HVAC tech. And this is how I'm going to go and make that happen, essentially. So it has, this year especially has gotten a lot better because, like I said, everything is on one hub. A couple of years ago or long before that, it was all over the place. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's look at breaking barriers. Since we're talking about women going into, skilled trade business,
Mhm.
which is generally a male-dominated field, right? So, for example, are there gender-based discrimination or biases to be aware of, and how can a woman overcome some of these?
With construction, I know firsthand, I can speak to what I experienced, or what my friends in the industry have experienced. It's whether it's catcalling, whether it's you're not capable because you're a woman, whether it's, or you should be taking care of your kids while you here. It's it's there. It's there. It's just the difference with it in 2025 is that we're having a conversation about it. It's being brought out to the forefront, being like, you can't act like a dick. Okay. We're just as important, as just as capable of being on this field as any other of our counterparts. It doesn't matter if I'm a woman or not. I'm able to provide my expertise, my skills in whatever we're doing or building or creating. And my voice is just as important as yours. So for me, especially, I I have walked off of job sites because of just the level of discrimination, the level of not necessarily, not even rude, just the level of just uncompassionate and demeaning in a lot of ways, just the way that people talk to you, thinking that you don't deserve to be here. But the thing is, why did you hire me? Did you hire me because you wanted an opportunity to feel better than me or powerful than me and lord it over my head that, like, if I don't know. It's just crazy to me. I can't even fathom the amount of things that I've gone through, and I don't want anyone, any female, any Black woman, or anything like that, go through what I've gone through, because it was really bad. It was really, really bad. So
How did you overcome that? You talked about working off a job site, like if you notice that the environment is not good for you. Is
Linda,
that
Dr. Linda, honest to God, sometimes I cry. It's just because you have so much to prove, and you get so upset because you're like, I can do this. Like, why aren't you allowing me to do this? Or, why did you hire me to do the job? We do everything beautifully, and then you're not going to pay me for the work, And it doesn't even matter if I was Black or white or whatever the color may be, or whatever ethnicity I may be. The industry has so many bad seeds that create that awful stigma to contractors are always bad. And that's not the case. Some contractors are bad, just like some doctors are bad, just like some teachers are bad. Everyone has, or every industry has their bad seeds. So they usually put it together as like, okay, she's a bad contractor, plus she's a Black contractor, plus she's a woman. Okay, that's even worse. That's even worse. And you don't always hear about the good stuff. You always hear about the bad stuff. And I need to make sure that I voice out more of the good stuff, all the good stuff that we do, all the good stuff contractors do, all the good stuff blue collar people do, because we're building this country, we're building this world where we're making sure there is hospitals and schools and homes to live in. So we're just as important as a lawyer or a doctor. And it doesn't matter the color, or it doesn't matter my gender. I've been in the industry long enough that you got to put some respect on my name. That's it.
yeah. And th- for you to even have gotten to this stage means, those things exist. You are finding your way to, deal with them, and also being part of these organizations that are helping women to break these barriers. That's also awesome on your side.
You got to work with people that are like-minded and want the best for you in a whole. And just like I always say, like every industry, you want to align yourself with people that want you to succeed. And if you're within a community that wants you to succeed, then anything is possible. There's gonna be a whole complex with like a female designer, female architect, a lead general contractor that's a female. It'll be all female, female, female. Like, I would love to see that, or a skyscraper in New York or Dallas, or doesn't even matter where, that it's a Black African immigrant woman that built it from the bottom up, like that's what I want to see. I want to see that success, that level of success, and we're there to support you, like these organizations are there to support you. You're there to support them. I'm there to support them. So I just want to see us as a whole win in an industry that a lot of people shun us from. And I guess the biggest thing is I like to make sure that we're not, how am I going to say this? I want to make sure that we are looked at as change makers, and as capable, and as just like having that conversation and being in that conversation, sitting at the table with all these other organizations that are making those changes in the building code or this and that. Like, I want to sprinkle a little bit of female everywhere, So, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Let's look at resilience, especially in the face of motherhood. For a woman that is in a skilled trade business, what would that look like? And maybe you can also touch on childcare, as you talked about. Yeah.
So, as some people already know, I was homeless for a very long time. And like I said, construction allowed me an opportunity to provide for my kids, provide housing for my kids, and a stable income that I was able to leave the homeless shelter and give them an opportunity to grow and be kids. They didn't know what was going on, you know. It wasn't until very recently that I didn't lean on all those other resources like the food bank, Country Harvest, and whatnot. So the barriers are still there. I would sometimes have to take my kids with me to job sites because they didn't want to lose the job. Because if I lost the job, then I'm not going to be able to pay rent. It was a cycle that I now I'm very fortunate because my kids are older and they're self-sufficient. My son is turning 11 next week, and I have pictures of him in the back of the truck with me going to job sites, and I look at it and I sometimes cry because I'm like, this is how far I've gotten. This is where we are now, Josephine. Like this year, you're not only managing these properties, you're not only building out basements, building houses, having clients trust in you with their properties for one of my longest clients, 5 years now. I have some clients that I've never met before. I literally manage their properties and whether they're in the country, not in the country. They've never ever met me, and I still manage their properties because they trust me. So when I look back at everything that I've gone through, and I'm like, damn, I did it. Okay, so I did it. How do I make sure that childcare is not a barrier for other women in construction? Because that's such a big conversation. Our work hours are so different than the 7 to 6 or 7 to 3 hours that daycares have for us, and school ends at I don't know, 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's going to take you an hour to pick up the kids. Sometimes it's so unaffordable. So there's so many layers to it, and this is why we had a global meeting with, again, KWIC, and just speaking about how we can change that narrative, how we can have that conversation, how we can facilitate this huge push for women to get in construction, but how do we support them when they become mothers? And these are conversations that we're having now that are being dealt with and hopefully going to be answered in the next couple of years because it's so important. It's so important.
Wow. Okay. Uh, because as you're talking, my head is going round and round thinking of what could really be a solution there, especially because it's not as if all these women are in one place that you'll be like, okay, we're going to build this after hours childcare
Mhm.
after like to cater for women in construction. Are there after hours childcare services like maybe 24 hours? Have you come across any?
I have not, especially when I was looking 6, 7 years ago when the kids were younger. I couldn't find anything. Um, I couldn't find anything. And for me, the closest relative, my mother, was not here. She was in BC. So I was all by myself. I was all by myself. And I would have to get someone from the school to watch the kids for 2 hours at the library. I have a high school student. They would go pick up my child or both kids, and they'd go to the library 2 hours, and that would be my drive from Ajax to Oakville to pick them up. So I looked for resources. I couldn't find any. I really couldn't. And I specifically remember, this is again probably an Ontario thing or a Canadian thing, is that every hour I was late when they were at a daycare, it was $1 a minute. And then that's the first time. The second time was, I think, $2. The third time was $5. So it got expensive. By the end of it, I'd be 20 minutes late and I'm spending another $70 on picking up the kids. And I'm like, at that time, like,
Oh,
I had to penny pinch everything. I'm like, how do I afford this? How do I balance the books and my budget to facilitate being late 30 minutes? And I literally had to plan for it. I had to budget money towards it because I needed childcare and I wasn't, there was no way around it. There was nowhere around it.
wow. You know, when we talk about like women and barriers, sometimes it can sound like, yeah, they are it again, women and barriers. But the reality is that there are some barriers that you don't even get to know until you get to that stage. Even as a woman, you may not even get to know the barriers that women with children go through until you have a child,
Yeah.
right? Like, so before I had my child, even as a woman, I would just think, oh, okay, there are barriers,
Yeah. You don't think about it.
you know.
You don't
Yeah,
think about it until you're there, until
on
you're on the boots, like dealing with it. I'm like, so how do I fix that?
yeah,
How do I make it easier for me? Who can I confide into helping me with the situation? Yeah, it's
it's
a
it's,
different
it's
experience.
tough, and for women who have gone through that and survived it and thrive despite it,
Barely surviving it.
I put my cap up for them like a salute because it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's not as simple as get childcare, because then childcare is expensive, especially in developed nations.
Mhm.
So, and uh,
Back home, I could literally have the next door neighbor take care of the kids. I'll be fine.
mhm,
Done deal. But
mhm,
again, do I trust my neighbors here? Like they don't even talk to me.
mhm,
There it's just like the environment that we're in. I that family environment, that working together to make things happen. I always felt alone. I always
mhm.
felt alone. So
Especially for immigrants, right? Because like sometimes, okay, I'll give you example. At one point, being pregnant, being in the hospital, sometimes you see maybe people that, parents, grandparents are there visiting, right? But maybe if you're an immigrant, your parents may not be here, or your grandparents may not be here, so just the also, limited resources, like extended family resources that immigrants have to face. So, that makes the work even double hard
it
for
is.
them. Yeah.
With my
Then,
daughter, I had no one with me at all. In terms of like facilitating her, making sure she's good. With my son, my mom was there for I think a month. And the difference between my postpartum depression after my daughter versus my son was a huge difference. A huge, so much so that I'm thinking about, I'm like, it's so crazy how just a little bit of support can make everything better. Just having that time to go shower, the having time to eat, having the time to nap, like that 2 hour nap gave me that energy I needed. So yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so you've done amazing, being able
Thank
to,
you.
being able to still march on despite, the challenges. It's not easy. It's
It's
not easy.
not.
Yeah.
It's not. But we're making it work.
Sure.
We're making it work.
You talked about some losses early on, right? When you started your business. I would like us to shine more light on that, because for people who are starting out in the business or wanting to go into skill trade business, perhaps they could learn from what you went through at that time, and
Mhm.
it could help them to avoid losses, because losses, I would say losses in anything, especially that you are doing for the first time or that you are new to, is always going to be there, right? Especially except you talk to somebody who
Yeah.
can give you some of those advice. So it's important that we shine light on it, right? S-
So, whether it's losses at messing up on a job site where it cost me $1,500, or my first development property with my partner that we lost because we just didn't have enough money to facilitate it, and we went in so much debt from it. Um, just financial literacy was one of the biggest things that was required, and financial literacy specifically in construction, because it's a whole different ballgame. Learning to deal with lenders, learning to deal with mortgage brokers, learning to deal with type 1 or type 2 or type 3 mortgage, an A lender, B lender. All that information is so important if you want to get into the development aspect of construction. And as much as we had such a great idea, a great project and everything, everyone just wanted to buy it off of us because we didn't have, we were too young, is what they would say. We were not, they would say, they did say we were too young, and they wanted to take on the property and the project. And now every time I drive by that property, I'm like, oh, look at that beautiful property that's on there. It breaks my heart because I literally imagined and designed it, and to see it being built and it didn't have my hand or my touch to it, and makes me a little sad, but it's a learning experience that made me grow so much. Those 3 years of absolute turmoil and struggle, I learned so much. I learned so much. So making sure you're taking as much information as possible, whether or whatever you want to do in terms of development, whether you want to do in design or as a skilled trade route. The more information, the better, because the more information you have, the more of an educational or educated decision you can make. And if you don't have the right information, you can make the worst mistakes. But if you do make those mistakes, it's okay. Mistakes are a part of the growth and a part of the process in general. And you need to make a little bit of mistakes to be able to grow from there. So take them as they come, because they're needed. They're needed for growth. A little bit of pressure makes growth. So yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. For anyone that is watching right now, if you have any question that you would like me to ask her, please drop it as a comment. We're going to see it and we pick it up from here. Okay, while we wait for questions or to see if there are questions, the question I have for you is, what is the one question you wished that I asked you, but I have not asked you yet?
Oh. Um, do you see me building anywhere outside of Canada? And
Okay.
my answer would be is I would love to go back to Africa and do some properties there and to build there. So in the next, my 5-year plan right now is definitely going back and building and creating an environment where we can learn and facilitate more growth in, I'm not sure which African country at this point, but more growth in an African country, because it's home for me. So as much as I am Canadian, I still miss home, and I want to make sure I give back to my roots. So yeah.
I see. There's this movement about building people in Africans in diaspora going to Ghana to build
Yeah.
properties. I don't know if you've heard something about that. So
It's,
maybe you can consider Ghana.
I would love to. I have friends that are from Ghana. I have a friend that actually purchased a property or land there, and I'm hoping in maybe in the next 6 months I will be able to go back and take a look at it. But yeah, Ghana is the big one for me right now. I've heard all the good stuff about it.
It's okay.
So crossing
What's
my
your
fingers.
yeah? What's your advice for entrepreneurs? General advice for entrepreneurs.
Just start. Just start. It doesn't matter. It honestly doesn't matter. I just want you to start, because if you don't start, you never know. You never know what you're made out of until you actually do it. So, like, just start. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
Okay, that's great. What's your vision for your company? I know you talked about like going sometime to Africa and building
Mhm.
something there, but like I mean for your company, JS Group, what's the big vision?
I want to build a complex. I want JS Group to be the builders of, I don't know, 50 multi-unit, single, I don't know, detached, multiplex complex in, I don't know, anywhere in Ontario. It doesn't really matter, but I would love to see that. I would love to be like, I did this, and then have a street named after me or after the family or after the kids even. That would be pretty amazing. And and out of those 50 or 100 properties, being able to donate at least 2 to 3 of them to someone that is living in a homeless shelter, because that's it's so close to my heart. So um, yeah.
Wow.
That's the vision. That's the vision, and not just doing
The
it once, doing it multiple times.
That's great. That's
So
great.
yeah,
It's been awesome having you here.
thank
Thank you
you.
very much for taking our time to come
Of
share,
course.
share knowledge. And I'm sure anybody who is thinking of maybe what kind of business to start, or specifically starting a skilled trade business, they're going to learn from this session and pick things and apply it to their own lives.
Of
Thank you very
course, you can
much.
always reach out to me, and I'm always there to help. So thank you very much to everyone here, and thank you, Dr. Linda. I appreciate you.
Thank you. So yeah, I also included the link to your website in case
Oh,
some people want to go, check it out. Like when I went to your website, I was able to see the gallery section. I saw some
yeah,
of the properties you've been working on. So those are things that for a woman who is thinking of going into this business, they could check it out. And I also think like maybe using the contact us section, if they wanted to reach you to say,
yeah,
hey, you said you were on this show, you talked about this, that, that could be like maybe a more streamlined, easy way to get that done. So,
100%. Please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. So yeah,
it's all right. Okay. Moment. Yeah. Thank you very much. We're going to end the streaming now. All right. Bye,
thank you.
everybody.
Bye, guys.